Hi everyone. In this video, we'll cover the persuasive speech and we'll talk about topics, outline, and the requirements. So we are in D2L, and at the top, you'll see a list of topics that worked for students in the past. The reason why they worked well is because it's easy with these topics to discuss pros and cons. For example, online education pros and cons, reading Shakespeare in the high school, using comic books for educational purposes. What about taking a nutrition class or getting a college degree? Ways to use technology, pros and cons, and graffiti. Is it art or crime? There are many other topics that also work well for the students, and maybe I just haven't heard them yet. So deliver those topics and I will include your topic in this list. I'll be happy to. There are also mentioned topics that I suggest to stay away from, something like texting and driving, lowering drinking age, drinking and driving, legalizing marijuana, paying student athletes, and gun control. If you absolutely would like to do any of these topics that I recommend to stay away from, why don't we discuss it? So just contact me and we'll talk about that. In this speech, in the persuasive speech, we will be using a recitation format. And since that's a format for the speech, it's also a format for the outline. The same as with the informative speech, I give you an outline template that I call fill in the blanks. So let's take a look how it looks for this persuasive speech. Parts of the introduction are the same. Your preview of main points will consist only of 2 points. You'll have your pros and cons depending on which view is yours. And then the major difference in the outline lies in the body. So here you'll have only 2 main points. And the first one is an opposing view, the one that you argue against. And then you provide your view as a second main point. Can you think of the reasons why you list your point, the last one? One of the biggest reasons is that we remember better what was said at the very end of the speech. Okay, so you want your view to be towards the end of the speech. And the second reason is you will have a chance in your view to rebuttal the arguments you make in the opposing view. Now, the key to really good persuasive speech is to make both arguments strong, to make sure that both opposing view and your view are developed in depth. Because we're talking about persuasion, right? You want to make opposing view really strong too, because then when you present your view, you make it even stronger. And then that shows that you're a credible speaker to your audience because you give them a choice. You don't cheat them, you don't mislead them by making the first point weak and then showing that your second point, your view, is stronger. So make sure that you develop both points in depth and make them both strong. Let's say you want to argue or persuade that everybody should get a college degree. What would be an opposing view? Reasons not to take a college degree. And then your view would be reasons to get a college degree. Then in the conclusion, you only have opposing view and your view again, only 2 main points. The rest is the same, and your bibliography. Remember, we're using 6 credible resources to support this speech. That's your outline. And now let's take a look at the requirements. If you go to Persuasive Speech Instructions and Grading, click on it, And here's our document. The recommended length for this speech is between 5 and 6 minutes. You probably don't want to go too much under 5 minutes because you want to develop both main points in depth. A general guidelines, recitation format that we already discussed. Choose a topic that you personally care about, because if you care about it, you'll have so much more fun to think about it and to research it. Decide on the goal. Remember, we have goals: maintenance, modification, and conversion. Decide what's your goal for this speech. And then research well both sides of an issue, the way we mentioned when we talk about an outline. Use both parallel, use parallel processing, which means to use both peripheral and central routes. Peripheral route when the audience pay attention mostly to mental shortcuts. If everybody agrees, then I'll agree. Maybe we're looking at the likability of the speaker. A good example here, if the celebrity advertises any product and we like a celebrity and we think, oh, that's a good product, right? So that's peripheral route. And central route is mostly when we're directly affected by the proposition mentioned in the message, in the speech. So we pay more attention. We are very mindful and engaged critical thinkers, ask questions. We scrutinize the speech for evidence, for resources, and mostly for the content, okay? Both are necessary and both are correct, so use both in your speech and make clear how you use ethos, pathos, and logos, and we'll just talk about them in a second. If you scroll down, here are your persuasive speech rubrics. The first 4 categories: audience engagement, speech organization, physical and vocal delivery, and supporting materials, language, and credibility, are the same as your informative speech. And the one category that we are adding here is persuasive strategies. Aristotle talked about ethos, logos, and pathos. Ethos is the character of the speaker, goodwill. Logos is your credibility, supporting materials. Do you make sense as a speaker? And pathos is that emotional appeal. And remember that audience do not always remember what you said, but they always remember how your speech made them feel. And that's mostly about creating those emotions in your audience and have them act upon that. That's why we have specific and clear call for action at the end of the speech. What do you want your audience to believe, to do, to think as the result of your speech? And also remember again to present both sides of the issue fully and completely. Okay, so that was briefly about the persuasive speech requirements. I am very looking forward to seeing what you will create. And if you have any questions, or if you are ever in doubt about your topic or would like to brainstorm or to check, please don't hesitate to reach out. Take care. Bye-bye.